everyone. My name is Diana or Diana. Either way you'll hear it. It'll be confusing to you all, but I say it either way, Diana or Diana, Ponce de Leon. I'm with the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. I am responsible for the Division of Community Economic Development. And today I have the privilege of moderating this amazing panel with, amongst all of you who I see here are experts also in this field and have been really inventing and creating and working on, making your dreams, the dreams of other people come true in different ways that have never been invested in before in the past. It's very exciting for us as an office, as a division, as a city, to be working on this vision on behalf of the mayor. And so I just want to thank all of you for doing the work on the ground, the amazing work, learning, all in the lessons. And so today I have the privilege of, here is a sort of a different representatives here that represent from the city government side. How are we trying to work to make this happen and work with you all, to the small business side and how the small businesses are tapping into the resources, how they see themselves in San Francisco as a Black-owned San Francisco business, to the nonprofits that are, working with staff, developing these programs from the ground up, and again, learning valuable lessons every day. And so it's an incredible, I think, space to be in, to be able to learn from your mistakes and improve on things to grow and support each other. So I just want to thank everyone. The impact is being felt every day. We hear it, we see it, and you all are a part of that. So I want to thank you all for that. So please, there's a few questions that I'm going to be posing to the panel, but you all are also experts and are going to be, I'm sure, sharing around what have you done? How have you done this? How have you experienced that? So feel free to also chime in. So before I begin, I'm going to go ahead and introduce and read the bios from our panelists. So first we have here Andrea Baker, who's the Executive Director of Into Action. So Andrea has decades of experience in engaging small businesses and providing one-on-one technical assistance. She's also provided community development and outreach services to both for-profit and nonprofit projects in the Bay Area. Her work is informed by a deep commitment to ensuring that communities have a voice in changes that impact their vision for neighborhoods that they all call home. In 2022, Andrea received the Jefferson Award for Public Service. She founded Into Action in 2019 to support and further increase the impact of the work that she started with her consulting firm, Andrea Baker Consulting. Since its inception, Into Action has supported several small Black-owned businesses during the pandemic when small businesses were closing. Into Action supported the growth of 9 principally Black-owned businesses, accruing more than $464,000 in food sales. Into Action has supported 67 Black entrepreneurs, with 52 of them being women-owned, and has provided $480,000 in payments directly to program participants and provided over 345 hours of technical assistance. Next we have David Denson, who is the owner, and I think I could say proud owner, and founder of Mayday Hauling. So Mayday is a junk removal service based in San Francisco with over 40 5-star reviews on Yelp. Some of his early partners were CVS Pharmacy and the Boys and Girls Club of San Francisco. He is a native of San Francisco who grew up in low-income housing, who faced and overcame many challenges along the way. He has spent close to a decade in waste management industry in various roles, from developing and instituting compost collection program in low-income housing to managing teams of trash sorters in an effort to assist the city in reaching its zero waste goal. He is a helper by nature, and David is a devoted father and helper. Mayday has allowed him for over 6 years to service the Bay Area's junk needs. Next we have Kissu Kirkwood, who is the business owner of Kirkwood Commercial Plumbing and I hear other businesses. So, just depending what you need, I'm sure he has something for you. So Kissu wanted to provide professional plumbing solutions to people. Kissu has been a plumber for more than 10 years, and this was the natural next step in his progression. Kirkwood Commercial Plumbing provides professional plumbing solutions that include everything from complex medical gas piping installation, as well as simple plumbing service calls that may require unstopping a toilet. So, you know where to find it. Next, we have Pia Harris, who's the director of San Francisco's Housing Community Development Corporation. Can I say new economic development program? So this is a new program under this institution. Again, lots of partnerships have been evolving, and we're so happy to be supportive of that. Pia Harris skillfully wears many hats as a nonprofit leader, community activist, and small business owner. He is the director of San Francisco's Housing Development Corporation Economic Development Program, providing high-value business development services to Black entrepreneurs throughout San Francisco. Pia has cultivated a meaningful partnership with the City and County of San Francisco to create Minding My Black-Owned Business, a 12-week business fundamentals training and mini-grant program for small businesses. This year, Pia has spearheaded the development of In the Black, a creative and entrepreneur marketplace in the historic Fillmore that will provide access to affordable commercial retail space to hundreds of Black-owned businesses over the next decade. So having also operated, right? Because we're all doing all kinds of things, talented in every way. Having also operated her own catering business, Nia's Soul, for the past 5 years, Pia intimately understands the challenges of small business owners face in scaling their business. Pia has long served as a bridge between the Black community, city departments, nonprofit entities, and is passionate about working to secure resources for Black entrepreneurs. And last but not least, I think all of you know Larry. If not, you will know Larry. So Larry is a senior program manager at with the Office of Economic Workforce Development under our division, Community Economic Development. He's no stranger to making an impact with over 15 years of providing significant contributions to the business community. As the program manager at OEWD, he's seen firsthand how decades of biased policies and approaches have disproportionately affected the Black community. He understood that it was his job to do something about this inequality. So when the Mayor's Dream Keeper Initiative allocated funding to create an environment where generations of Black people report and how they feel to dream boldly, Larry understood that responsibility. And he's taking it very seriously. It is a huge, huge responsibility. And I am so proud to have him as part of my team, leading a lot of this work with you all. So we have. Before we start again, I do want to recognize members of the audience here. I see small businesses, I see some of our nonprofit partners, I see staff that are working every day to make some of these dreams come true. So thank you very much for being here and participating. And with that, I'm going to hand it over so you can hear from the panel and stop listening to me talk. So the first question is, and please, any of the panelists, feel free to chime in. Why do you think it's important for Black-owned businesses to thrive in San Francisco?
I kick it off and you guys finish it. Again, Larry McClendon, and the main reason it's important for Black businesses to thrive in San Francisco is because Black businesses bring a characteristic to San Francisco that cannot be duplicated. And once a city like San Francisco loses its character and its culture and its preservation that Black people bring to it, then it's not the city that people think of around the world when you think of San Francisco. And this year, I've been very fortunate to work with so many businesses, over 200 businesses within the last 2 years, and they're bringing their own special characteristics to the San Francisco, new food ideas, food entrepreneurs that you guys ate with today, and that are probably full and a little sleepy from also, right? And so The goal is to continue the unique flavor that Black businesses bring to San Francisco, but also the culture, the look, the feel, the swag, the drip. That stuff comes from the Black culture. And so that's why it's so important that we support the Black culture and Black businesses, because it brings that unique flavor to San Francisco.
Yeah. I would add to that and say that I think it's really important as a model for the future, because, you know, when I talk with entrepreneurs and, well, why did you start your business? And folks say, I remember growing up in my neighborhood and so-and-so ran the store down the corner and this person. And so it's really important that we continue to create these models so that our kids can see what's possible.
Yeah, and if I could just piggyback on both of those and say the key word here is preservation. As African Americans in San Francisco that have been displaced, you know, they think that we're not here, but we are here. You know, I know that Andrea can speak to this. When we have people applying for the program, you get hundreds of African American businesses and African American individuals that are here. So just to let them know we're still here and to preserve our culture. And again, to have an example, that's why it was so important for In the Black to open up on the corner of Gary and Fillmore, so all these babies on their way to school can see entrepreneurs like real live. You know, we've always been known in San Francisco, I know I'm from Fillmore in particular, as the Harlem of the West, where we had hundreds of Black businesses before redevelopment. So like, how do we preserve that and support the businesses so that they see that we do have a presence here? You know, even if we're displaced, everyone's still coming here to work. We're spending our dollars here. So, you know, why shouldn't we be a part of that? So I think preservation, like Larry said, is a big part of why we need to support African American businesses.
I just want to add that I think that for our communities, it's very important for us to have our small businesses that are owned by us, not only for the look of it to our communities and to the next generation coming up. It gives them examples, positive examples to look for, and it also shows that there is a positive, constructive way to make money, that you don't have to go and work for somebody else. A lot of times as African Americans, our experiences in the workplace aren't the best, to put it lightly. And so I think that having businesses in San Francisco owned by African Americans is very important to us as a people, as well as the community as a whole, because it somewhat completes the community. To have those businesses there, to serve our own people, to be able to provide. A lot of times we as a community have certain special product needs that don't get met in other businesses, that aren't respected in other businesses. And so we as a people, as a community, it's important for us to provide for us.
Yeah, agreed. I have to echo everybody else on the panel and say that it's important for us to thrive, because for the exposure that we can provide to the people coming after us. I know for me, the neighborhood I come from, a lot of people recently, a lot of the youngsters that's under me, they've recently reached out to me and just let them know that I've inspired them, to let them know there was another way. It's like we're not exposed to a lot of different things here in San Francisco, in the Black community, and low-income housing in the inner city. So it's good to be an example, to let them know like there's another route. And you know, you can, because there's a lot of untapped talent. There's a lot of bright people, and you know, in the inner city and the hood. So there's a place to channel that. To let them know there's a place you can channel that. Let them know that you know, and the elephant in the room, it's not cheap to live in San Francisco. It never has been. So you know, you want to be able to, like the term livable wage. You want to be able to make money and support yourself and support your family, and live in the city that you grew up in. You know what I mean? A lot of us get money and have to commute from a long way away, and you know, which affects your quality of life. So yeah, in addition to all of those things, it's also good to like let them know that there's another way, because a lot of us don't have it, and you know, we you know, there's another way to get things done.
Along those lines, and you know, the importance of being a San Francisco-based business or living here, How has your business benefited from being located in San Francisco? How's that different than maybe being anywhere else?
Well, I'll say for me as a contractor, the city of San Francisco has a city ordinance that requires all construction to have a certain percentage of local business entities, LBEs, that do business on that construction site. And so that's a city ordinance that's specific to San Francisco. So for my business, particularly as a contractor, that enables a small business such as myself to be able to compete and actually get work, get business on a city level. And that's a very, very, I think that because it makes it very fortunate for a person such as myself as a contractor to be able to start and know that there is an avenue to success that's built in by the city, and that doesn't exist in other places. And so a while back, I think it was 1996, they did away with minority contractors as far as the consideration of contracts based on race. So, and that's a law. So because of that, then there has to be some way for minority businesses to be able to compete. And so San Francisco is on the cutting edge as usual with that ordinance.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, again, because you guys had such amazing answers, the cutting edge part, being in San Francisco for myself was having the blessing, not to be cliche, to have worked with the people on this panel and the people here like Nicola and Larry and Andrea, quite as kept before there was a Dream Keepers. We had a bit access to Andrea that we could sit down and talk to. And, when I started my business, there's always been a support system. So, and now it's even further, with us being able to tap into everything with the Dream Keepers initiative. So I know for myself personally, it's been the support system that the city has given us, by way and being the cutting edge and not being afraid to say that African Americans are not at the starting line when it comes to business. We don't come from generational wealth, like some people where our parents are not leaving us property and business knowledge. So for us to be able to obtain that, because now, everyone knows that we have been set back and are offering us ways to catch up has been amazing. And again, like that's been, for a while now, and now that we have DKI and we're able to support each other even more, it's really been a blessing.
Yeah, I agree with you so much. I mean, I can't believe I've been in the city over 40 years now. And I was saying to somebody earlier, I used to be kind of annoyed when I first came with the city and thinking the city wasn't doing enough. And in some cases it wasn't. I mean, let's be for real. But I also learned to understand that, the city is a bit of a juggernaut. It's really hard to turn on a dime. And over time, I have seen the city respond to the learnings that they've gotten. Now, certainly in the last 4 years, we have all benefited from Mayor Breed's leadership and her leadership here. And so DKI and that funding is critically important. But outside of, I love to say this, like, money is like manure. You got to spread it around so things can grow. Let's get real with that. It's not the only thing, but it's seeds. And so having these funds, right? I think there's always been the desire from the city, but having these funds now and being very directed and targeted about it. And it's not just funds, that we're also getting the kind of technical assistance, the fact that we've got Larry and we've got Deanna, those things are super important. And I'm just saying that as somebody who's been here for 40 years and looking back. It's really a good place to be.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
And we are the cutting edge. I agree with you.
And going off of that feeds right into the next question. So in terms of supporting Black-owned businesses in San Francisco, what are some of the strategies that have had a positive impact on you all as small businesses, as providers? What have you learned? What are some of those strategies you've implemented that you've really seen and maybe surprised you?
I'll go. I didn't get to answer the last question, so I'll go. But I think for me it's less about strategy, but it's more about like the human capital. Like I feel the support of everybody that's in place to help me now strategize to probably scale my business more. So people like Larry and you guys as staff. And I cannot forget SF Black Wall Street. They've been like super instrumental. I know for me, like I bootstrapped my business every step of the way, no debt, and this was the first time, you know what I mean? Right. So yeah, this is the first time I've like received some financial assistance, and it felt good because I never depended on it. And I never counted on it. I never expected it. So for it to come through, not just the funds, but the support around it, because a lot of us, we need support. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the wonderful thing I feel about having a business. What was the question?
It was exactly
strategy. Yeah.
Strategies that either you experienced right as of now and that you benefited from, or new things that we're putting on the ground, and how did those impact businesses?
I just want to piggyback on that because both Dave and I were part of the same cohort put on by SF Black Wall Street, and like he said, like when you start your business and you just going for it, and there's no funding, there's no investors, there's no partners, but you stepping out on faith and you trying to really just make it happen. It's hard. You know what I'm saying? I know people look at social media and everybody saying get an LLC, and
so
they don't talk about they don't talk about what's really behind the scenes, which is, for one, a lot of hard work, a lot of expenses, and you still have to attempt to make a living. You still have your everyday bills. You still have the expenses of the business, and for the first time, I'm not gonna say that it's never existed before, but I was able to participate in a cohort that I learned from, that I made connections. This is where I know Larry from, and that gave me funding. And this was funding with no strings attached. You ain't got to jump through a bunch of hoops. You don't got to come and leave your dignity at the door. And it was helpful. And for me, that happened in my first year of business, and it was instrumental in my survival. And so these type of grassroots organizations, once again in San Francisco, this is changing the narrative. Like, this is real. It's not no whole bunch of, a lot of times in the past I've experienced community organizations that just want to come and have a meeting and talk, but there's no actionable items. You're not really learning things that pertain to what it is, your struggles, and there's certainly no funding. You know what I mean? So for that to have happened, it really was a pivotal moment in my business, because it bridged a gap, and without that, I might not have made it. And so to be able to foster that environment where you learning and meeting other people, and y'all in the same struggle, and we can use each other's business. It's to me, it's paramount. In my journey as an entrepreneur, I have other business. I didn't have that in other businesses, and they struggled as a result. But this, and it was amazing to me. It was amazing to me that existed, and what came from it. And I just salute Black Wall Street, y'all.
I think it's sort of reflective of the first question that we had, right? About why it's so important to have Black businesses. Because we can be in here having this kind of discussion now, right? That's a big thing. all in here together having this kind of discussion.
Yeah, and I want to also add to that. I'm getting a little emotional.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You know, I read the reports, right? Because I oversee the funding. They send us reports. I read the reports, but I've never heard. I haven't heard it in real time, so I'm getting super emotional. And then when we think about strategy, I would say, you know, for me, number one, just a quick story. When I first started at OEWD, this was my mission. It's to serve Black businesses. And then every year we get an opportunity to pitch ideas. And we were in a staff meeting, and I pitched an idea that had, I think, 4 or 5 million. And my colleagues was like, oh my God, like you're asking for 4 or 5 million. And so when the Dreamkeeper Fund came available, hell yeah, I raised my hand because I already knew, when you think about strategy, that was a 4-year strategy leading up to this opportunity and being ready to take on the opportunity and being ready to serve how you know you need to be served. And I just want to thank you all for what you do. And it was a completely within the strategy of making sure that our division funds nonprofits, SF Black Wall Street, Into Action, SFHRC, newer department here, but newer nonprofits to actually meet people where they're at, customize their approach, so then these guys can get what they want. Culturally competent training, that's why I kept saying, I don't know if y'all remember. Culturally competent training. You read between the lines, training that Black people can thrive in, that they can feel comfortable in. They can come and show up as they are and thrive and be around people that they know and build with, you know. So, you know, it's more work for us to do within government and within our divisions. There's a ton of work. But today I get to take the opportunity to feel proud about the first step. So thank you.
Also, a part of the success, just hearing what everyone has just said, is that we've never had the opportunity until DKI was here to give the training that came with funding. So one of the successes that I think all of the programs had is that not only were we able to teach them technical assistance, but also to have funding to give them to be able to grow their business, which is unprecedented. You know, like you said, you had before where people were like, we'll give you lunch. Right. You know, you kind of have some meetings, but what is that going to do for you afterwards? And then also the technical assistance part, we're learning that, you know, everyone doesn't have everything. You know, you may be a good cook or a good plumber, but maybe you're not good at marketing or financial planning. So, you know, that's fine. We're going to teach you the basics, but it is also okay to hire a consultant to meet your needs on what you have. So also offering those consultants and offering a variety of different classes to allow them to get those services has been a great success as well.
So going off that, I'm going to dive a little bit into from the programmatic aspect, right? New programs, launching new things. From the providers, what were some of the key challenges and like what's next? What are you learning already to tweak, right? Because again, we're we completed 1 year of pilot, many programs. One of them, like, you know, Pia said, the demand way above what we were, you know, set up to do. And so what's next in terms of, you know, what you learned, lessons learned in the first year, where's it going? How are you building more, right?
Yeah.
So I get excited about this because, you know, like I said before, I didn't have help before, right? So with the cohort that I participated in, they had follow-up after that.
Yeah.
They had follow-up after that, and then they had other grants that you could apply for that piggybacked off that. And so these are all things that I wouldn't have never, you know, like you said, I'm a plumber, I'll go and plumb up something, but I don't, you know, the paperwork and sitting down, and all, this is the things I'm just simply not that good at. And so by them having that, the structure and the people to walk you through, it really, really made a difference, because not only now I'm familiar with the grant process, now I have a business plan. Now I have people to call and ask questions. I just met I'm gonna be at y'all. I'm gonna bother y'all, I'm telling you, like for real. It's like, but this is because when you start a business and you are one person, all of your time goes to the business. And so I don't have time to go out and meet people and try to, you know, and even if I do, I'm thinking about the other stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. And so, and I'm a single dad. I got 2 teenage daughters that. Yeah, so it's like, you know, that's 8 businesses in itself right there, you know. And so the help that is provided, you know, gives assistance and gives direction that I've never experienced before. And, you know, it also leads to more funding, which is necessary, and more learning. And so that those programs, y'all making a difference. Yes. And I'll go anywhere and say it, for real.
It's so inspiring and just so you know, spot on, because that's what I would say we're learning that we need to do, that our next step needs to be, is the follow-up. Of course, we're there to receive phone calls or assist anyone after they've graduated, but we're seeing that a lot of our cohort participants are like, what's next? Like, they graduate, they're like, we're not ready to be done. So like, how can we now we have alumni classes once a month and get together with them, but things like what we're doing right now is very important, because the fellowship, like you said, is very important, where we come together with like-minded entrepreneurs that are like ourselves. We do learn differently as a community. We receive things differently as a community. So I think it's really important to continue to do these larger events and these larger learning sessions, because you see that it's such a high demand for the want of more knowledge. So that's what we would like to do in the future, is be able to hold classes, you know, to all of our alumni. At this point, we have about 70 alumni. How do we get them all in one room to continue this healthy education?
Yeah, I think that's on point. We talk about meeting people where they are, and as people move, then we gotta move to meet them where they are at that next level as well. And I feel like that is something that's just happening with all of the programs now. This understanding that, yeah, they've moved to the next level. Now we still need support, right? We still need support. And so I think that has been so valuable, and that is something that is different, and I want to always underscore, and thank you for using that word, Pia, the fellowship of knowing that there is somebody else. I like to say it's so important when we do our programs that as much as is humanly possible, the people delivering the program look like the people in the class. Amen. Because that's how you really believe, right? Yeah. So that fellowship, so that's in the learning, but even as you say, the fellowship of being in a room like this with fellow entrepreneurs who look like you and you can relate to, that is amazing, because it's all about the vocabulary and access and feeling comfortable, right? Yeah. And so when you feel comfortable and you can share and ask your questions, and you're not worried about whether or not you use the right word or they're gonna understand, this is unbelievable, really.
David, I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question on that. So for your business, what would be the next step that you think would support, you know, hearing from like kind of the ideas? And so, yeah, for your business, what do you think would be the next thing that could help you move to the next level?
Yeah, no, I'm still thinking about that. I'm in a very good spot now with my business. And I'm thinking about what scaling looks like for me, and like what support I'm gonna need around me to do that. But I think personally, what I want to do is continue to reach back and get some of the folks that, you know, that come from where I come from. So, you know, and teach them the methods of at least starting, the basics of at least starting a business and stuff like that, because a lot of people see me as like a beacon of hope, you know what I mean? So until I figure out the big picture of what I want Mayday to be, in the meantime, I can still do that on my own, because that's important to me. But yeah, so yeah, I just want to continue to inspire people and help people whenever I can, because I can't. You know, it's useless for me to sit with the information, and there's a lot of people that need it. You know what I mean? And it's good to hear from me, because like as Andrea pointed out, I don't have to code switch with them, you know, and if they comfortable with me, they'll be able to receive the information. You know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of times I gotta say, you know, Black people need to learn from Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like it goes a long way. You know what I mean? And so you could just, like I said, you could just receive the information. You don't have to worry about like somebody judging you or looking at you a funny way. You know, it's that direct connection. So in the meantime, I'll figure out the next steps for my business and how I can be supported. That's what I'm gonna do personally.
No, that sounds like the next step. All right, I'll have 2 more questions and I'll open up to the floor. And we've already talked a little bit about this, but I want you to zero in on pointing to an inspirational moment or experience that impacted you and highlighted the importance of either being a small business or supporting a Black-owned business.
I can start. That one. It's so many moments, I think, that we have. Yeah, like which one? But I think one of the main moments that we've had this year is in the Black and seeing the retailers come in and their fans come in. Like they have no idea the impact that their products are having on someone. And then you have a fan come in with their shirt on and they see them and they get to meet them and see. And these fans are not, they don't look like us, you know, they're all ages, all nationalities. So that's been the best part for me, is just seeing that they know that they have something that's obtainable and something that is winning, and that they have a fan base, and that they are able to grow has been the best part for us, as well as just moments like this, sitting at a panel with you gentlemen and hearing and being inspired after going through programs and hearing the work that you're doing now, and also how you're inspiring others. So I think those are the best moments for us, is when the entrepreneurs really see their fan base and how amazing they are, and seeing how talented. I mean, come on, and looking around this room and knowing everybody and what they do, and the amazing amount of talent that we have in our community is also very inspiring.
Definitely agree with that. You can't do this work and not have your heart beat full when you see somebody succeed. And so I definitely agree with you. I mean, there's nothing greater than when an entrepreneur, we did our Baby on Court, and we had an entrepreneur in South Black who decided to do the marketplace, and she kind of had to be a little bit talked into it, because she'd never done it before. And then she did it, and at the end she was like, oh my God, this is so great, this is great. I got it. And that level of excitement and having somebody experience the possibilities are amazing. So that's definitely one for me. But I have also been known to say, the reason I became an entrepreneur was that I wanted to be in a place where I could provide employment for people who looked like me. Yes. Because when I came here 40 years ago, plus, I was kind of blown away by the notion that I could not be hired just because of the color of my skin. That had such an impact on me that I decided then, I'm gonna open my own business so I can hire people who look like me. Yeah. And I still recall when we opened Chiva's Caribbean restaurant in San Francisco over 30 years ago. And I say this because it was over 30 years ago. And a young man walked in and he had dreadlocks. And he said, you know, I'm really interested in working here, but I see y'all like styling, and I know you ain't gonna hire anybody that look like me. And I was like, no, that's wrong. Come on in. And he became one of our best employees ever. So I think about those things, and that's important. And every time we help somebody start a business, I'm like, more Black people employed, more Black people employed. So that's where my head is.
I think I started this business because I was working for another company, and they wouldn't promote me to foreman. I took the class, I did all the requirements, the person over me wanted to promote me, but the person over them wouldn't allow it. And so from that experience, that, you know, propelled me to just go do my own thing. And I didn't really go into it with a plan. I just went into it more so with the idea that I could do better by myself. I could do better depending on me than I could on somebody else. And so with that, I have to say that the pivotal moment for me was passing the contractor's test. Because once I did that, I felt like, because I had to have faith going into this. It wasn't, you know, it's just me, you know what I mean? So I didn't have like something else to be like, okay, this is going to make this successful. It was just the determination and the faith that God had brought me through so many things that this wouldn't be different. And so I went with that. And when I passed the test, it affirmed that I was doing the right thing. And so from that victory, I was able to gain a little bit more confidence and move forward knowing that everything was going to work out. And the next thing I know, I got into the program. And that, because I don't live in San Francisco. I was raised in San Francisco, but the cost pushed me out a long time ago. And so I wasn't really dialed in with the people. You know what I'm saying? I know people from everywhere, but as far as the business fellowship, I wasn't tied in, you know what I mean? But from going through the program, meeting other people, meeting Larry, that propelled and pushed me to another level that wouldn't have been possible. And so that's it for me.
I think for me, it's not one moment that sticks out to me about being inspired. But I know one of the biggest ones is just feeling connected, like feeling like I'm a part of something now, with all of the support that I've gotten like this past year. And I think it played out for me in real time, because with my business, I have a couple trucks. And I have been struggling to find parking for both of my trucks, since from the beginning. And when I started my business, you know, I just started. I didn't think I would be here. You know what I mean? I just did it just because it was something I felt like I needed to do. So along the journey, like one of the hardest things for me to get under control was like parking, because I didn't have a lot of resources. Parking is expensive. In San Francisco, so I even went to San Bruno and was just door knocking and in the industrial area and out searching high and low. And so I put some calls in. I put a call in to Larry. I put a call in to SF Black Wall Street. Gigi, what's up? And overnight, I was able to. And I think it came from Kissu to one of the program directors at Black Wall Street to me. And I was able to get both of my trucks into the Builders Exchange in San Francisco, which was huge. It was huge for me because I had to deal with graffiti, which was messing up my branding, which was messing up my mobile billboards, which was messing up the money that I spent. And I couldn't, you know, I still haven't wrapped one of my trucks because I got to get all the graffiti off of it. But now I have a place to house my vehicles, which is going to further promote my business. Which is one of I was scratching my head. I still tell one of my best friends today, like, I cannot believe they found parking for me overnight in San Francisco.
Behind the locked gate.
So that's one of them, you know, that's when I knew, like, okay, this network, you know, it's for real. Like, people really making stuff happen, you know. And I was just like, you know, my expectations was low. It's like, you know, I'm a person, I like to like operate behind the shadows, stay low key or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, no, like, you're a part of something. You're a part of something that's bigger than you. So you know, it feels good that I can rely on these folks and they making stuff happen.
We all think it's
I got so many moments, almost 6 years at OEWD, plenty of moments. But for me, I think the biggest moment is this moment right here. I love living in the present and just hearing from these amazing business owners, 2 amazing service providers that I talk to probably 7-8 times a week. But yeah, this moment right here, being in the room with all of you guys, other service providers, people who care about the community, living in the present, is kind of where I've been for the last couple of years. So this is the biggest moment for me.
This is a sweet spot.
The last question, it's a big one. You are all impacting the course of history in people's lives. What is the future news headline that speaks to the next milestone or aspirational milestone that you're working towards in this realm?
Oh, I think about this all the time because I have a vivid imagination, but it's really projected on the business owners I've been able to know. And so, like, I had a vision one day that a headline read, Mayday hauling replaces 100% or 100% junk, right? And so, like, Mayday replaced the whole West Coast. 1-800 junk is no longer, and Mayday then kind of bought them out, took them out, right? I was like, in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, like taking over a large corporation, and this guy is amazing, like the way his brain works for branding. I'm like, yeah, that's where I see him. And then just talking to Mr. Kirkwood today, it's just about like, what would it be dope if you got a contract for one of these high rises that's going up, and it's 100% Black-owned, minority-owned business who's plumbing the next Salesforce tower, right? So I always go in my mind and think about all these amazing headlines from our business owners, just like taking over the world, owning it, hiring. So like that's where I get my motivation from. I just use my imagination and just think about great things for the small businesses.
I know my dream headline would be that we have brought the Fillmore back to the Harlem of the West. And we have hundreds of Black businesses again. So that, yeah, only one I could think of right now.
I think minority-owned Kirkwood Commercial Plumbing receives $100 million contract. Something. Simple.
Yeah, I think, I don't know how Larry was in my head, but I saw my business that way too. Like one of my goals was to be like, to franchise it, to be able to like, empower other entrepreneurs to, because it's a pretty simple business model. So to franchise it, to give other people an opportunity to be in this industry and to earn a living as well. And I think beyond that, just to realize that I'm creating a legacy here. You know what I mean? Like that's huge. You know what I mean? For me, where I come from, like I'm already 6 years in. We growing year after year. So yeah, just to know like this can possibly be here after I'm gone. It's huge. So also yeah, I'm gonna keep working towards that.
I don't have a headline, but when I think about it, I guess the goal I have in my head always is, and I'm thinking about Black Wall Street when I say this, that the Bayview and the Fillmore are the new Greenwood. You understand? We the new Greenwood. And then we open the paper and the headline is not about the latest shooting in the Bayview and the Fillmore. Right. It's about the Greenwood in the Bayview and the Fillmore. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely.
That's why we do this.
Now I'm gonna open it up to questions or comments. Mr. Ace.
Yes, let me just turn the camera so I can get myself here. Well, first of all, I'm so excited. My name is Ace, I'm on the case, I'm the Fillmore Corridor Ambassador. But let me just go back in history like Ms. Baker said. I go back years. See, I'm 68, I'll be 69 this month. I know I don't look like it. But I've been around for a number of years. A few people here know me from way back when the Fillmore, I call it the Field no more. But these young people are trying to put the Field back in the mold. And so we don't call it the field no more. But I just want to congratulate everyone that's, even this Black Wall Street, I never met y'all. Most of y'all I've been knowing them, but I heard that name come up. So I've been documenting this stuff for years. I go back 5 mayors. I go back to Miss Baker when you was redevelopment. I go back when there was CAC, CDC, and everything. I go back when they did the cycles of $5 million for the whole community. And now we get, so I'm so happy. I'm tickled, not pink, we're black. But I thank Larry and, hold on, and I thank Nicola and over here that they're gonna try to help me get some money. I mean, I've been documenting all this for years, and God has been blessing me with my pennies. But I want to get in the game because I've been documenting everything. Before there was internet, Facebook, and all that, there was ACE on the case, ACE. So I've been talking to Larry and Nicola, man. They want to help me, Miss Baker. I'm going to get with you too. And she's been helping me. So I want to try to get in because I'm documenting this whether I get paid or not, because that's what I do. But I'm so happy that all these black people here, I mean, this is so unique here because documenting this and showing it to the younger generation, which they never experienced, black communities in the business. These people are really doing it. I'm, like I said, I'm triple pink, I mean black. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to say to the business owners, I'm very inspired by you. I'm glad that Andrea brought it up because I don't want you to undermine how important you are to workforce development, that you hire black, which then feeds a black family, which takes somebody out of risk. And also when others won't, can't, don't want to, you will invest in our youth and give them opportunities when other people just will not. And I want to say a huge thank you to the city staff that carry these programs and encourage you to keep putting requests onto the other city departments to do more because we will choose to close our ears, to not get involved, to act like we don't know what's going on. And so I appreciate Larry for always asking for stuff. I don't know, sometimes we can do it, sometimes we can't, but just the requests coming in and then us having to circulate it within our departments keeps the conversation going. And so I really encourage you all, particularly those who own property, city agencies that own property, to push us to use our property and to give away the use of our property to promote these businesses, whether it's a pop-up or whatever the space is, storage, all of that. I'm sorry that you had such a hard time parking your trucks. I understand it. We got so many truckers and we can't get them parking. And so I congratulate all of you. And thank you, Pia. Thank you, Andrea, for supporting these small businesses, promoting them, getting them into spaces where people can see more of them. So thank you.
Similar working from government, my question for either Ujamaa or Larry, get to work with Larry a little bit. And even hearing the panel earlier on evaluation, a big part of Dream Keepers is evaluating government to do better. And if we're keeping it real, Dream Keepers is late in the sense of we should have been doing this for black folks. And being on the inside of government, you realize that, wow, now we're focusing on black home ownership, or now we're focusing on black business, when we really keep it real, should have been doing that for the last 20, 30 years. So my question for you guys is either one, what has changed since Dream Keepers? Because again, that's a $60 million investment that is additional to the existing budget. That's not you or we using our existing resources for a black business. And thank you, Mayor Bree, for the additional money. Now we're gonna focus on that. So I'm curious what has changed, if anything, in your department. And secondly and lastly would be what now? You know, now that Dream Keepers is going, where do you see it? What is the next level? Kind of similar to what you asked the businesses. So I feel for my brother right here. It was like, I wish I had that 2 businesses ago. And I'm like, my heart breaks for you. I'm thankful that we have it now, but I do genuinely wish we had it 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. I'll get started and then I'll let Larry chime in. So, I've been a public servant for 20 plus years now. Leadership matters, vision matters, policy direction matters. So, like Tiffany was saying, you could be on the ground trying to push, right? Trying to push for what you know is needed, trying to push for the ideas, to push the envelope, to propose everything. And so what has changed is the directive. The directive, along with the funding. The funding matters, the resources, obviously, because the directive could be there, but without the resources, you all know this. Well, great, you invited me to lunch. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Thank you, but so the resources matter, right? That's the commitment. We were doing stuff before, and we now, with the investment, with the direction, it allows us all, like this department, our department, we have a pretty big chunk of the investment. So we've been, and we thank you, every single one of you, our partners. We had to push a lot on the infrastructure, which led through pain points that we've heard about from many folks, trying to make sure that we can access the resources as fast as we're building the programs. That has been a true challenge, a real challenge. And so I think, again, little by little, we're pushing the structure inside to be able to operate in a way where it meets your needs. Because we're hearing and we're pushing from the inside, right? But directive, leadership, investment, it's not just talk. It makes a huge difference. Now, Larry has been standing this up, at least for our division, for over a year now. We've been working together like as much as we can, building like the grant agreements. Like the volume has been like mind blowing. So please be patient with him. If he doesn't respond to you right away, please. But we're problem solving in the back for you. We're doing it. And so I just kind of want to take that moment because it's important. Maybe sometimes it's not seen visibly, but all of that truly matters. And I think, what's next? Again, we're building, we're creating. We have amazing people on staff. That for me, my job is to do what I can to let them do their jobs so that they can, in turn, deliver the service the way that it is needed. And to support them and protect them too, right? When things don't look so bright, oh my gosh, like this went wrong. How can we problem solve, right? Evaluation is going to be a key piece, a next thing. We need to do that. We need to show that. We're trying to build on that. And so fortunately, I started off with saying Larry was the only one. These resources have allowed us to also expand staff. So now he will have 2 staff. That will
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. They've been waiting for y'all for 2 years. Just to let you know.
True story.
Yeah, to finish it off, because I was given the 5-minute and we got 2 minutes. I would, to answer your question, the directive is important, leadership is important, but I also want to illuminate and highlight that we still got to deal with the old systematic tools. That makes it difficult. And Tiffany was alluding to this, that we go and beg for resources for years. And without the directive, we were able to open up the door. But in order to walk through that door, we have to actually use the old system, the old policies, the old way of doing business that has been designed to keep the most needy out. And we're using that and we're pushing on it and we're about to break it. And we have been breaking it to meet the needs and the contract and the grant agreements, the city attorney, all of this stuff. And behind the scenes, we're going really hard, almost to the pushing our positions, our classifications within government, because we're pushing so hard and pissing people off because we want to serve you all. And so, yeah, just to answer very plainly, the directive has changed our ability to serve and deliver, but internally, that shit has not changed. Right. And we're still going extremely hard and struggling with things that everybody in this room probably knows and believes is simple, but when we get behind the scenes and we're under the engine, it's like our counterparts and other functionalities of the city, they don't see it the same way. And so with that, and thank you for your question. And so with that being said, we got a lot of work to do, right? And the job is not done. We need policy change. I know Dr. Sai's been saying that, but truly to meet you guys equitably, we need policy change throughout the entire city. Plain and simple. You guys need to get y'all checks on time too.
Amen.
So we're working on that.
Can I just say, as a service provider too, that this last RFP 225 with 4 years, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Because that means that you all are getting it. Right?
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and thank you for giving us the room to learn, because I know a lot of times we're learning as we go, and I know that we can always come to Larry. He's like, okay, like Deanna said, how do we fix it? So a lot of times we're going back and fixing it and trying to figure out how to move forward. So just having that room for error is very appreciated, and all the support that you all are giving us. Like Larry said, we probably talk like 8 to 9 days. Lord knows Nicole probably should turn her phone off or something if she don't want no calls. So, just being grateful to have access to support as service providers has been amazing as well.
All right. Yeah, we have
Exactly.
time. Perfect.
Boom.
Awesome. Thank you all.